The show My Adventures with Superman Season 2 kick off with Superman's father warning him about the arrival of someone who is very much powerful than him, and also planning to come to Earth, only to destroy him. Just then, Clark wakes up only for him to realize that it's all just a dream. Meanwhile, at the Daily Planet, we see Lois Lane as she wakes up from a nap just to receive a motivational letter from Clark. She then replies through a text saying that she got the message and she loves him. However, her mood switches as she has been trying to get in contact with her dad for days now, but her father's number has been disconnected. We then see as Jimmy enters the office, so excited, wishing everyone happy Valentine's Day while sharing them a card. Jimmy then asks Clark what plan does he have for his girlfriend, Miss Lane, since today is Valentine's Day. However, the reply Clark gave was so funny that gets the fellow workers' attention as they told him a grand romantic gesture is the way forward and not some boring idea Clark has. Although their discussion on romantic date would soon come to an end as the Daily Planet boss, Harry, comes in as he complains about how their competitor, Vicky Vale of the Gotham Gazette, has always scooped them off on every major news story for the past month now, which makes Perry so frustrated. Meanwhile, Miss Lane enters bringing them a very good news that will help put them ahead of their competitor again, as it seems her former classmate who now works at the Star Labs has some premium information about the tracking of a meteorite in space. Perry is impressed about this news and asks Clark, Lane, and Jimmy to go to the Star Labs to get the information needed. They all arrive at Star Labs, but it seems Clark is really nervous as everyone sees his plan with Lane to celebrate Valentine's Day as being boring. Jimmy then saw a scientist from Season 1 as his job application was rejected by the Star Labs without even at least finding out his capabilities. Jimmy motivates him, saying that if he wants to achieve greatness, he has to make his own path. However, the crew finally meet Miss Lane, former classmate, for information, and he tells them this meteoroid is something he has never seen before. Just then he informed them that the meteoroid just vanished into thin air. The ones he has seen mostly burn up in the atmosphere, but this one went through Antarctica and disappeared. He went on showing them footages where the meteorite landed. Suddenly, Clark realizes it's not a meteorite but his spaceship. He tells Jimmy and Lane about this and tells them about the vision he had as he thought it's just only a dream, but now he really wants to find the spaceship so it doesn't open another portal. When Lane, Jimmy, and Clark arrives at Antarctica, Clark immediately sees a ghost of his father just like the exact moment he saw in his dreams and decided to follow him. Clark is then teleported into a spaceship where he asked his father how come it was possible. He asked for explanation from his father. The scene then cut to Jimmy and Lane looking for Clark as they can't seem to find him. While doing so, Jimmy and Lane finally found the spaceship and decide to enter it, which was a bad idea as we see them get attacked. Nearby, Clark kept on asking his father questions upon question, which his father eventually gives answers to all his unanswered questions as he could now speak English. He explained that Krypton was about to be destroyed, as the Kryptonian Empire had conquered and spread across the stars like disease until they found an enemy they could not defeat, and their empire was falling into a war of their own making, and it was clear that no one from the planet would survive. And that's when Clark's father and mother decided to send him away through a ship to save his life. In conclusion, he then told Clark that all the Kryptonians are all dead except for him, Clark, then his uncle Zor-El and Clark's cousin Kara. Clark is shocked thinking he was the only one, but that day he wasn't the only one who was sent to Earth as his cousin Kara was also sent to Earth. However, unfortunately, the reunion would soon come to an end as it is revealed that intruders are attempting to break into the spaceship. Clark realizes this would likely be Jimmy and Lane trying to get into the ship, but is informed that they aren't the only ones who snuck into the ship. Just as Jimmy and Lane was about to be blasted by an android bot, Amanda Waller and her mutants also enters the ship after saving them, also giving her gang orders of collecting as much tech they find in the ship, as she plans to take down Superman by any means possible, and she believes something from his ship can help her take him down. Lane and Jimmy overhears her plans, and she also finds out that Amanda Waller captured her father Sam, who had been missing for days. The ghost tells Superman on how stupid he is for bringing his fragile human mate who does not have any power to the ship. Superman then informed him that he was busy chasing him. Meanwhile, one of Amanda Waller's henchmen catches Lane and Jimmy and tries to finish them off, but just then Superman stops it with his eyes lasers. Just then, the guy then transforms into a Hulk-like being and beats the crap out of Superman. Although during their intense battle, they both fell inside an opening in the ship with everything glowing green. It was a kryptonite in that place, and this made Superman extremely weak. Immediately, Amanda Waller and Deathstroke enters the place as now she knows what is Superman's weakness. Knowing this, she orders Deathstroke to get the stone for her. But then, Superman uses the last energy to bring out his lasers to stop him. During this distraction, Jimmy quickly takes the kryptonite and puts it inside a container. Superman is outnumbered and overpowered, but his ghost father comes to his rescue, informing them that his son isn't alone. Meanwhile, Amanda Waller and her guys escape while Clark's father then makes the ship somehow invisible so no one will ever locate it again. Immediately after the whole battle, he then tells Clark that this would be the last time they both see each other, because the Kryptonian has destroyed what little of him remains. Superman asks about his cousin Kara, and in reply, Jor-El tells him to find her ship communication beacon, which is in a kind of dimensional gateway, and that is what he can use to find Kara. Before he says his final goodbye, he tells Clark how he made him so proud, because he has turned his powers into a shield for the helpless. Later on, Clark asks Lane why it doesn't bother her that he is not human. With a romantic reply from her, Superman takes her to the sky to show her its beauties. Lois then asks for a favor from him as she asks Clark to help her save her dad from Amanda Waller, who was holding him as a prisoner. Deathstroke shows his sword made from the pieces of the kryptonite he stole, and they smile as they are finally going to eliminate the Superman. The scene then switches as we the viewer see Amanda Waller, who wakes up in the morning and decided to interrogate Sam, Lois' dad, who was the former boss of this operation, which is called the Task Force X, but Amanda Waller betrayed him and took over the organization. Lois Lane, who knows Amanda captured her dad, wants to track him down and doesn't even mind searching the entire city just to save her dad. Clark then promised her to help find her father and rescue him. He also decides to tell Lois something he has been wanting to tell her. But just then, a little boy gets their attention after he confirms they are Clark and Miss Lane. He begs for their help to help him deliver a message to Superman because he knows they are friends with Superman. The boy went on to introduce his name as Billy and shows a picture of his dad, who was a volunteer librarian at Stryker Prison, and his dad once told him about how people were disappearing recently at his workplace, and he himself now hasn't returned and is worried about his father. Clark promises to pass the message to Superman. Miss Lane immediately figured that this was Task Force X doing. Perry and Jimmy discuss about him taking control of the newbies at work. Meanwhile, Clark and Lois contacted Jimmy to come assist them in the rescue, but he is too choked up with work, and he needs to spend time to actually work on Flamebird now. Clark then uses the fastest way by taking Lois inside the Task Force X building as Superman. They see thousands of prison cells inside, but they find no prisoners. Superman then scans the place and finds out there is a secret door. He'd open the door just to find an elevator shaft to which Miss Lane purposely fall into just to make Clark catch her. They both then went to the camera area, where they find out Amanda Waller hideout and where she's actually keeping all her prisoners. Superman also sees the beacon here, something his father told him about, which he can use to find his cousin Kara. Meanwhile, Amanda Waller begins her interrogation with Sam Lane as she threatened to reveal all his hidden safe houses. There's a fracture of highly technology she needs and knows Sam is hiding those technologies in his safe house. The general has nothing to lose, but just then she tells him about his daughter, making Sam furious. Lane finally gets inside her father's cell in disguise to rescue her dad, but her father is so angry by this as to why she came to rescue him, because she is putting herself in danger. The scene then switches to Jimmy still having a bad time from his nudies. Meanwhile, Superman tells Sam that Lois did all she did out of concern for him, but he tells Superman to shut his mouth up. Lois then took Clark for a one-aside discussion, to which she tells him to stop arguing with her father. Clark then tells her he's more concerned about the little boy dad, and he also need to find the beacon, but just the law informed him that she doesn't know if he should look for those things, especially the beacon, as the beacon was from 0 day, before also informing him to just find the little boy's dad. Immediately, they found out that Sam's dad isn't with them. The scene switches as we then see Amanda walking with her gang, while also been furious about Sam's escape. Just as she walks, she then gets trapped in a place by Sam, which separates her from her mutant soldiers. Sam tells her to join him and still protect the planet together, but Amanda Waller always wanted to be the #1, since he has made it clear that she can't control the whole operation. She decided to eliminate him by ordering her mutant called Atomic Skull, who has atomic powers, to take him down. Superman tells Lane he doesn't like her dad because of how he treats her. He makes her feel small. Just then, Sam comes out of nowhere and tells them both to run while being chased by Atomic Skull. They'd all ran into a room filled with prisoners. They also found Billy's father, the little boy dad, who informed them that Task Force X has been using them as their lab rat. Superman figures out they're using Kryptonian technology on these people, but he decides to put an end to these nonsense. He releases all the prisoners. Just then, Amanda ordered Atomic Skull to eliminate them all. Meanwhile, we see Jimmy's worried about Lois and Clark, so he decides to take his whole Flamber team to Task Force X building. However, the battle between Superman and Atomic Skull eventually ended with Superman managing to defeat Atomic Skull. He also finds the beacon his dad told him about and takes it. Meanwhile, we see as Miss Lane and her dad's successful escape with the prisoners out of the Task Force X building but are stopped by our soldiers using very high-tech weapons. Already frustrated, Superman, who couldn't take this anymore, destroys all this weapon and uses a breeze from his mouth to knock them all out. Jimmy arrives on a boat and helps the prisoners escape. Clark and Lois then had a special moment together and they both decided to discuss later. Sam isn't happy about what his partner has become because she was willing to hurt civilians. Lois tells her father that he can live with her, but just then he also informed her that he has been compromised and he can't risk his daughter. Immediately, Lois of the idea that Sam live with Clark. Sam seems to like the idea and agree to stay with Clark. Amanda to get a call from her superior as she turned a secret operation into a top news. Just then she's attacked by one of her mutant, but fortunately for her, the scientist from earlier then saved her. He informed her about how he found her and about his technology, also repeating what Jimmy told him earlier about carving his own path. Just then we are meant to know that the scientist was Lex Luthor. This episode then came to an end. Kindly subscribe to get updated when episode 3 comes out.